Guys, welcome, man. I do apologize. It is super hot here in Texas, man. I don't even know, but it feels like 1,000 degrees. But regardless, this is the Argali Yukon tent. Now, what I am going to say, I do have it staked out along the edge, but I do not have any guy outs out. And what that does is that kind of allows, when you guy it out on these points, it kind of gives a little bit more of a, it looks a little more spacious in here. But right now, the wind's blowing pretty good, pretty hard this direction. So therefore, it's just kind of caved in a little bit. But regardless, this was our tent this last year. And if you look right here, it's got a spot for a stove, kind of where I'm sitting at right here. Now, let me tell you the problem I have with this tent, and it's not really a problem, it's just what it is. But I slept over here. I had firewood here. Then I had the stove, kind of like where I'm sitting at right here on the ground. And then I had my gear here. Now, that being said, I got people going with me this year. I knew I had at least one more, and I have another commitment and maybe a third commitment to be 4 total. So this tent is definitely not going to make it. It is a 4-person tent as it is, 4 people without gear. I think if you had no stove, you could do 2 people in gear here pretty easy, because you can have one person there, one person's gear here, another person's gear here, and then another person sleeping kind of where I'm sitting at right now. And I think that's great. I think it is what it is. And no, I don't. This tent doesn't go all the way to the ground. And it's a little bit weird, I think, in and of itself, because this is the first floorless tent I ever had that didn't have a floor. It was floorless tent. This is my first floorless tent, and it was just a little bit weird, but it really didn't bother me. I thought it was going to bother me, but it didn't. Like, every once in a while I'd wake up and the edge of my mattress would be, the corner of my mattress would be outside the tent. I would just bring it back in. Not a big deal. But you do have to have a piece of Tyvek or something like that, so that your mattress isn't directly on the ground. But regardless, this tent's great. We're still going to use it, but not like what we used it for this last year. But let's take a little trip outside so you can take a look at what we got that's new. All right, man. Whew. It is hot. All right, guys, this right here is the Argali Yukon. Now, the thing about this tent right here, I just looked at their website. They are sold out on this guy until I think July 21st or something like that, when they go back in stock. Now, it was July something. You may have to go to the website to look, but this is the Argali Yukon tent. It is an 8-person tent, but let me tell you something. I actually took a trip to Boise. I really wanted to see it, because this tent is not cheap. It is not cheap at all. But I went to Argali because before I spent money on a tent like this, I really needed to make sure that it was going to fit my needs, because the 4-person, even though it was great, was just a little bit small. And so I was a little bit nervous about the 6-person. The 6-person, I was like, well, I don't know really what kind of space that thing has. 8-person is probably the way I need to go. But I said, hey, I'm gonna go up to Boise. I'm gonna take a look at their tent. And I actually spent some time with the guys from Argali. I'll tell you what, to me, it's something about the people behind the product, and they are great people, great guys. I still text them to this day, just checking in, seeing how they're doing. I went and saw them at the Western Hunt Expo. Just phenomenal people. So I stuck with Argali. I love the product, and that I love the people, love the product. I already have a stove for that guy. The stove will fit this guy. So to me, it's like, why to get another tent? It'll work for this guy. It's phenomenal people. Just support the business. It is what it is, guys. That's my logic behind it. Now, it is a huge footprint. It does have a really huge footprint. So basically, we have about 20 stakes. 20 stakes around the base, and then another 10 guy outs, and so that is a lot. And so you have 30 different points of contact to the ground, which is phenomenal. Now, what I will say is a little bit different to put up on this one here. I could take the 4 corners, or what, it's not really a square, but it kind of is. I would take that corner, and the opposite 2. I would stake it down, go in and put the pole in, and then zip it back up, and then I can finish staking it out, no problem. This guy here, however, wasn't quite that easy. It wasn't hard, but I just had to do something a little bit different, because I initially started to do it that way, and with the wind blowing, it's just too big, it was too much, I couldn't do it. So what I did is I actually, because the wind is coming from this way, hammering right here, as you can see, the wind's pushing there. What I did is I put all the stakes along this side, and I think I did 1 or 2 here, and I didn't even finish on the opposite side of that opposite corner. And then I was able to go in and put the poles in, and it worked phenomenally. And then after that, I was able to kind of just go and put the rest of the stakes in. And I don't even have them all in. I don't have those 2 in, but I do have the rest of them in on this side. Really and truly, I was just trying to give you all a look what it looks like. We'll go inside in just a minute because this thing is freaking huge. And ultimately, we're going to end up seam sealing this whole deal. My son needs to hurry and get his butt home so that I can use him to help me do it, because it's going to be a chore, man. You see all these little seams, we need to seal every single one of them. They did send me 4 tubes of seam seal, but I did buy an additional 2 because I was like, I want to make sure I have plenty. Last year, that one there, I want to say that one there took me a full tube. I want to say it was a full tube, but I got really close. They sent me a tube with it, and whatever they sent me, I got to the very last bit and made it work. But regardless, this is the this is the Argali 8-person tent, the Argali Yukon. But let's get inside and take a look at how spacious it is. Okay. All right, guys. So for reference, I am 6'2". This here is probably 6'8". Heck, this is probably 7 foot. I don't even know, but it's really stinking tall. And I think that's the thing that was really interested me more than the 6-person, which we'll get into the 6-person here in just a second. But this thing has a huge floor plan, or I should say a huge footprint. And now I do know we do have a bit of a gap here along the ground. I'm really not too worried about that. What I would do is I may lower this down a notch if I was on the mountain and maybe close that gap a little bit. As of right now, I'm not really worried. Here, there's a little bit of a high spot here, so there's not much of a gap. But regardless, right now, just setting up, getting a look at it. But man, plenty of stinking room, man. We do have a floor. Basically, it's like a 3rd floor. I think they call it a half floor, but it only really takes up about a 1/3 of the tent that would go on this side. And the reason it's on this side, the vents here, the stove jack, or the stove here goes here. So the floor plan obviously is not going to go here, but basically your stove's going to go here, and our gear and stuff would probably be stashed over here. We'll probably sleep along this side, along that, and all over here on the side. Not really sure how we're going to sleep yet, but regardless, this thing has plenty of room for us to make up our minds when we get to the mountain. It does have some spots where you can tie off some 550 cord, hang up some, you can tie up some 550 cord here to here, even come around here and go around to this side, and you can really hang up some clothes and get them dried out if you need to. I have yet to have that problem in the mountain, knock on wood. Probably happen this year, it doesn't really matter. But regardless, we're prepared. We have boot dryers, we have ways to dry our clothes. We'll have a stove that sits there. And so, man, this thing is phenomenal. I do like it, but we do need to get it sealed up. But regardless, this thing is, it's like a castle in here, man. This thing is just phenomenal. You can stay here, you can stand up. The thing about the Argali, if you got reined in or whatever, there's really no place to stand up. You can kind of hunch over, depending on how tall you are. I'm 6'2". It was just too short for me. I couldn't stand up in there. So when you stand up, you're kind of like this, and it just gets really uncomfortable. But regardless, you can see, like a while ago, I came in here and I did a little bit of a film, as you guys can see before. And then you come in here after we have the guide outs on, and you can kind of see how it kind of gives you, it just gives you that feel of more space over there. And so those guide outs are really important for making it feel spacious. It kind of expands the walls out a little bit, but it also helps keep it tied down when the wind gets really bad and really strong. I really am curious. We were supposed to go to the coast this last weekend, but it just didn't happen. But I am really curious on how well this thing does handle the wind. And we are going to Colorado here in about 6 weeks. I don't think we're going to use this one because it's just me and Ron. You guys have seen Ron on the channel, but if not, we'll be in a video together here in a few weeks. We're probably going to take the Argali. It's just be 2 of us with gear, and I think that'll be enough for both of us. But this one here will be in Colorado with us in October. Yeah, in October. And then maybe a spring bear hunt, which we don't need to get into on that yet. That is still in the planning phases. But regardless, man, this thing is gorgeous. And I'm super excited about it. But like I said, it was not cheap. it was super expensive. But what I did is I know they had I actually, when I went to Argali, it was back in November, and the reason I did is because they had a Black Friday sale, and I wanted to capitalize on that sale and get as much money off as I could. Now they do have a liner, and I do have some regrets not go ahead and get that liner. Basically, if you sleep on this side, they do have a liner that goes inside there, and it kind of basically helps from frost. And it kind of, sometimes you wake up in the morning, especially in that one there would be frost and just on the side of the tent. And as you light the stove, get the stove going, it just starts dripping water all over you. Is what it is. It's not terribly bad. It wasn't like it was miserable. It was fine. Just get a little bit of wet, it's fine. But it does have a liner that will go on this side, and I may get it, I may not, I don't know, it depends. I got a lot of stuff going between now and then, but it does have, we can put a liner in here to help with frost. Now I'm sure you could probably put it on the other side as well. I don't know. I'd have to talk to people from Argali. If the stove is in there, can you put it on its side? I'm not real sure, guys. I didn't get it. I didn't ask that question. If I got it, I was only going to do it on the opposite side. So if that's the question I have, I would contact Argali and ask them. But regardless, this thing is it. And I like it. I really do like it. I do wish I'd have put all the stakes in right now, but it is what it is, guys. It's hot. I'm just trying to see what I need for additional stakes, because I need 30 stakes for this guy, and if that guy goes with us, I need stakes for that one as well. So I need to make sure I have plenty of stakes for both. And you're asked, well, why are both tents going to go with you? I guess you're going to stay tuned and see in October. But regardless, guys, do love y'all. This thing is awesome, but I do have a lot of work to do because I got to get this thing sealed, and my son is not here. So I'm gonna get a step ladder, because I don't know who my real ladder is, but I'm gonna get my step ladder. I'm gonna climb up to the top and start working around the top, and then hopefully get all the top done. And when my son's here, he can help me do the seams going down. But regardless, guys, I do love y'all. Hope you find this thing interesting, because I think it's phenomenal. Guys, I do love y'all. Stay tuned. We'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all later.